The scalpel sliced into my belly like a betrayal I never saw coming. But it was the face hovering over me, the anesthesiologist's mask slipping just enough to reveal my son-in-law's smug grin, that told me I'd been played for a fool one last time. I remembered the metallic tang of blood in my throat, not from the C-section gone wrong, but from choking on the truth. He'd spiked my four with something to make sure I didn't wake up. All so he could claim the inheritance without my meddling ghost. As the world faded to black in that sterile Chicago operating room, I whispered a curse that echoed through the void. "This isn't over, you bastard." And then, like a glitch in the universe's shitty code, my eyes snapped open, not to fluorescent lights and beeping monitors, but to the sun-dappled kitchen of my Oak Park bungalow, 3 months before my daughter's due date, my hands steady on a coffee mug that hadn't shattered yet. I dropped the mug, ceramic shards exploding across the tile like the fragments of my old life. My reflection in the microwave door stared back, 58 years old, lines around my eyes from too many boardroom battles, but alive, fucking alive, in the body I'd left bleeding out on that table. Reborn.
重生
As my Vietnamese grandmother would have called it. A second chance wrapped in the skin of the woman who'd trusted too deeply and paid with her last breath. My heart hammered against my ribs, not from fear, but from the raw, electric rage of knowing exactly how this story ended if I let it. Mark, my son-in-law, that golden boy hedge fund prick with his veneered smile and wandering dick, had orchestrated it all. The affair with his assistant, the embezzlement from my late husband's firm that he'd pinned on me, the emergency C-section he'd pushed to get me out of the picture before the baby arrived and complicated his escape plan with half the family fortune. I died own Wong, unjustly, gasping for air while he toasted champagne at some rooftop gala in the Loop, celebrating the tragic loss of his meddlesome mother-in-law. But not this time. This time, I was the ghost come back to haunt, and I'd make sure his world unraveled thread by thread. I steadied my breathing, the scent of fresh ground beans from my Keurig grounding me in this impossible now.
Outside.
The L train rumbled past. A reminder that Chicago didn't give a damn about your resurrections. It just kept chugging along, indifferent and gritty. I glanced at the calendar on the fridge. July 15th, 2025. 90 days until the hospital. 90 days to dismantle the man who'd buried me alive in my own skin. The first call I made wasn't to my daughter. Lily, not yet. She was the blind spot in all this. 29, and glowing with that naive optimism I'd envied once. Now 7 months pregnant and utterly devoted to Mark. No. I dialed my lawyer, Elaine, the pitbull who'd handled my husband's estate after his accident 5 years back, the one Mark had whispered was my fault, planting doubts like seeds in fertile soil. Iris? Jesus. It's barely 8. Everything okay? Elaine's voice crackled through the speaker. All New York edge softened by 2 decades in the Windy City. Everything's crystal.
L.
But I need you to pull every file on Harrington Investments. The offshore accounts. The whistleblower tips from 23. Don't ask questions. Just bury me in paper by noon. I could hear her rustling already. The click of her heels on hardwood echoing my own pulse. Mark thought he'd scrubbed his tracks, siphoning funds through shell companies in the Caymans. But I'd always kept backups. Backups of backups. In my first life, I'd confronted him too late, after the audit, letting Lily's tears sway me into silence. This time, I'd weaponize every digit. By 10, I was in my home office, the walls lined with photos of Tom, my husband, gone too soon in that yacht mishap off Lake Michigan, His body never recovered. Mark had been there, the grieving son-in-law, handling the details while I drowned in grief.
Now.
Staring at a candid shot of him grinning beside Tom, arms slung casual like frat brothers, I saw the lie etched in his eyes. He'd tampered with the boat's lines. I knew it in my gut, knew it from the anonymous email that arrived days before my death. The one I'd dismissed as paranoia. Check the manifest, it had said. He sold the soul of your empire for a thrill. Elaine's courier arrived at 11:30. A stack of red-tabbed folders thudding onto my desk like Judgment Day. I pored over them. Highlighter slashing yellow across falsified ledgers. Emails timestamped to Mark's burner phone. The betrayal cut deeper than the scalpel ever could. He'd seduced Lily right out of grad school. A psych major too trusting to spot the con, then married into the family to bleed it dry. The child, my grandchild, was just collateral, a prop in his narrative of domestic bliss. And me, the obstacle. The widow with a nose for bullshit who'd started sniffing around the discrepancies. My phone buzzed. Lily. Mom, you sound weird on the voicemail. Mark's got this big client dinner tonight. But maybe we can do lunch tomorrow? The baby's kicking like a mule. Feel like it's breakdancing in there. Her laugh tinkled, pure and unscarred. And, for a split second, the old Iris, the one who'd bake snickerdoodles and pretend the world was fair, ached to spill it all.
But no.
This was war, and love was the first casualty. Lunch sounds perfect.
Kiddo.
Tell Mark congrats on the deal. I hung up, tasting bile.
The deal.
The one he'd closed by skipping her 24-hour labor for a networking bash at the peninsula. In my first go-round, I'd driven her to the hospital alone, white-knuckling the wheel through rush-hour traffic, only for the complications to arise, induced by his hand. I was sure now. This time, I'd be there early. Too early. Afternoon bled into evening, the summer sun dipping low over the bungalows, casting golden bars through my blinds. I fired off an email to my PI. Rocco, a grizzled ex-cop with a nose for dirt and a billable rate that'd make your eyes water. Tale Mark Harrington. Discreet. Photos. Locations. The works. Start tonight. Rocco replied in minutes. On it.
Boss.
What's the play? I typed back. The endgame. As dusk settled, I poured a scotch, neat, Tom's favorite, and raised a glass to the mirror. To second chances, I murmured. The woman staring back wasn't broken anymore. She was forged, a blade tempered in hellfire, ready to carve out justice. Mark thought he was untouchable. A king in his corner office overlooking the skyline. But kings fell. And when they did, they shattered. The next morning, Lily waddled into the cafe on Armitage, her belly a beach ball under a flowy maxi dress, cheeks flushed from the humidity. We hugged, awkward, over the table, her bum pressing into me like a promise.
God. Mom.
You look intense. Everything good with the firm? You know you don't have to micromanage from home. I sipped my latte, bloskas my muet, forcing a smile. Just tying up loose ends, sweetheart.
Now.
Spill. How's my future linebacker doing? We chatted baby names. She liked Elias for a boy. After Tom's dad and nursery colors, pale blue to match the mobiles I'd crocheted. But under it all, my mind raced circuits. The PI's preliminary report had pinged my phone at dawn. Mark. Stumbling out of a Gold Coast townhouse at 3 a.m., lipstick on his collar, the assistant's hand lingering on his arm.
Proof.
Tangible.
Damning.
As we parted, I slipped her an envelope, cash. 5 grand. For the crib. Her eyes widened. Mom, you don't have to. Indulge me. I cut in,
Kissing her forehead.
Family's all we've got. Lies. All of it. But necessary camouflage. Driving home, the radio droned about a hedge fund scandal downtown. Some hotshot indicted for fraud. Fitting soundtrack. By evening, Rocco's dossier landed. Timelines. Alibis shredded. Even a grainy photo of Mark on that yacht deck. Wrench in hand. Tom blurred in the background. The secret he'd buried? Not just theft, but murder. My husband's accident was no wave capsize, it was sabotage. Covered with insurance payouts that Mark had funneled straight to his vices. Rage simmered low. A banked fire. I couldn't torch him yet. Lily was the fuse. One wrong word, and she'd choose him. Like she had before, testifying in that sham family court hearing where he'd painted me as the unstable widow. No, this revenge would be surgical, expose the rot without burning the house down.
Or so I told myself.
Week 2 blurred into surveillance and strategy. I ghosted the office, claiming a sabbatical, but really, I was building the case. Forensic accountants on retainer, whispers to SEC contacts, anonymous tips to the Trib's business desk. Mark's world was a house of cards, and I held the fan. But the real hook sank when Lily called. Voice wobbling. Mom. Mark's being weird. Snapping about work. Late nights. Is it the baby?
Am I?
Too much. My knuckles whitened on the phone. He's stressed. Hon. Men like him, they chase highs. But you're his anchor. Half-truth. The full one? He was chasing skirts and scams. The baby just a deadline ticking down. That night, I drove to his office unannounced. The loop pulsing with after-work crowds. Neon signs flickering like faulty synapses. The receptionist buzzed me up, Mark's favorite mother-in-law, after all. He looked up from his desk, that shark smile faltering for a beat. Iris, what a surprise. Lily know you're playing hooky? I slid into the leather chair opposite, dropping Rocco's photo packet like a gauntlet. The top one, him, and the assistant. Mid-lip lock in an elevator. His face drained of color. Adam's apple bobbing. What the hell is this? Insurance, I said coolly, leaning forward. You think I don't see you?
Mark?
The accounts. The boat. The little side hustle that's gonna tank your marriage before the kid even cries. His eyes darted, calculating. Always calculating. Then the charm offensive. Iris. Listen. It's not what. Save it. I stood. Voice steel. Skip the birth. And this hits Lily's inbox by dawn. Play family man. And maybe, just maybe, we pretend. It was a bluff. Controversial as hell. Blackmailing the father of my grandchild, but the ends justified the means. His nod was grudging. Sweat beading on his brow. Victory. Small and sour. But as I exited the building, the L overhead screeching, doubt crept in. Was I saving her? Or damning us all? The twist of rebirth wasn't just power, it was the weight of knowing every choice echoed. August heat clung to Chicago like a bad divorce. The air conditioner in my bungalow wheezing against the assault. Lily's 8 months along now. Her texts a barrage of Braxton Hicks updates and Mark gripes he'd forgotten the prenatal class. Blamed traffic from a meeting. I bit my tongue, channeling the fury into action. The SEC had bitten on my tip. Investigators were circling. But slow, bureaucratic sharks. I needed faster jaws. Rocco's updates painted a fuller picture. Mark's gambling debts. 6 figures deep in underground poker dens off Halstead. The kind where debts got settled with knees or worse. He'd pawned Tom's Rolex to cover one. The bastard. The watch I'd buried with his ashes in spirit if not in fact. The buried secret gnawed at me. Tom's death wasn't random. Manifest logs showed Mark chartering the yacht solo that weekend. For Tom's birthday surprise, he'd said. But the email chain I'd unearthed via Elaine's hackers? Payments to a mechanic for modifications, lines weakened. Just enough for a squall to do the rest. I confronted the mirror that night, scotch in hand again. You're not a vigilante, Iris, I muttered. But who else? The cops had ruled it accidental. No body. No foul. Mark's charm had greased palms. Mine would grind bones. Lily's baby shower loomed. A pastel nightmare at her Lincoln Park condo. I arrived early. Arms laden with diapered genie and monogrammed blankets. The doorman nodding like I owned the joint. Upstairs, the place reeked of vanilla candles and entitlement, catered cupcakes from Alliance. Champagne flutes bubbling for the non-pregos. Lily waddled over, beaming in an empire waist gown, but her eyes held shadows. Mom, you came. Mark's running late, client thing. Of course he was. I forced a laugh, mingling with her yoga mom friends, all Lululemon and unsolicited advice.
Oh.
Iris, you're glowing. Widowhood suits you. One cooed, oblivious. I smiled through gritted teeth. But inside, the plan crystallized, leaked the affair photos to the bridal party chat. Controversial? Hell yes. Humiliating Lily in her inner circle, risking her spiral into early labor. But it'd crack Mark's facade, force him to heal. As guests trickled in, my phone vibrated. Rocco. Got eyes on him. Benny's East. Private room. High rollers. Not clients. A photo attached, Mark at a felt table. Chips stacked. The assistant at his elbow in a slinky red number. Rage boiled. But I pocketed it, playing the doting grandma-to-be. Then, the door flew open. Mark. Ty askew. Bouquet of wilted peonies in fist. Traffic, he announced, pecking Lily's cheek. His eyes met mine across the room, warning. Defiance. The games dragged. Pin the bow on the baby onesie. Blindfolded diaper changes with melted candy bars. Laughter rang hollow for me. Every giggle a reminder of the farce. During the gift unwrap, Lily cooed over my contribution, a silver rattle engraved with Tom's initials. It's perfect, Mom. Mark hovered, forcing small talk. Firm treating you well? Heard the markets are volatile. Volatile, I echoed, sipping mimosa. Like trust. Huh. His jaw ticked. But Lily's glow pulled him back, hand on her belly as the baby kicked. For a heartbeat, I saw it, the nuclear family illusion, fragile as spun sugar. Could I shatter it without shrapnel hitting her? Post-shower. As cleanup crews descended, I cornered him in the kitchenette. We need to talk. He sighed. Theatrical. Iris. Not now.
Now.
I thrust my phone under his nose. The Benny's photo zoomed on his flush of winnings. Or this goes viral. Family edition. His face twisted, shock. Then fury. You crazy bitch. This is extortion. Call it karma. My voice dropped low. Tom's death. The money. The baby you plan to ditch for another bender. Fix it. or lose everything. He lunged, but the island counter stopped him short, knuckles white. You don't know shit. I know enough. The bluff held. His shoulders slumped.
Fine.
What do you want? Be there. All in. Or watch it burn. I walked out, heart pounding, the elevator descent mirroring my moral freefall. Blackmail wasn't justice, it was dirt, smearing my hands. But rebirth demanded it. The old Iris would have prayed. This one? She'd pray for his soul after the fall. Days later, the heat wave broke with thunderstorms, lightning cracking over the lake like God's own temper. Lily went into false labor, contractions at midnight. Mark MIA again. I raced over, hydroplaning through puddles, bursting into their bedroom to find her curled on the duvet, face slick with sweat.
Mom.
It hurts. Deep breaths. Baby. I'm calling the midwife. Mark's phone went to voicemail. In a meeting.
Babe.
Love you. The lie is old as his sins. I bundled her into the car, cursing under my breath. The ER a blur of triage nurses and monitors. False alarm. Thank Christ. But as they wheeled her to observation, her grip tightened on mine. Where's Mark? He promised. He will. I lied, stroking her hair.
Inside.
The scalpel memory flashed, my own or nightmare. His grin through the mask.
No.
Not again. He arrived at dawn, disheveled, reeking of bourbon and regret. Babe, I'm so sorry, deal fell through. Lily melted into him, forgiving in that blind way that twisted my gut. I watched from the corner, arms crossed, our eyes locking. His held plea, truce, mine war. Back home, Elaine called with breakthroughs, wire transfers traced to Mark's alias. Enough for an indictment if we pushed. You sure about this? Iris? It'll torch the family. Controversial didn't cover it, dragging Lily through scandal. The baby born under headlines. But the secret festered. Tom's murder. Unavenged. Do it, I said. Quietly. September crept in, leaves turning early from the chill. Lily hit 38 weeks, nesting like a bird with a premonition. We shopped for last-minute onesies on Michigan Avenue, her waddle slowing, my vigilance sharpening. Mark played the part, prenatal visits, foot rubs, but Rocco's tail showed cracks, late-night calls to bookies, the assistant's texts pinging like alarms. The decision loomed, controversial to my core. Tell Lily now, pre-birth, and risk her health, or wait. Let the revenge crest in court. Post-delivery, I chose the knife's edge, partial truth. Over tea at my place. As rain pattered the solarium glass, I broached it. Sweetheart. Mark's. Struggling.
Debts.
From work. He's trying. But her face crumpled. I know.
Mom.
The cards. The fights. But the baby. It'll change him. Denial. Thick as fog off the lake. I pressed. It has to be enough. Lily. For you. For Elias or whoever. She nodded, tears spilling, but the seed was planted. Progress.
Pyrrhic.
That night, alone, I unearthed Tom's old journal from the attic, leather-bound, filled with sketches of sailboats and musings on fatherhood. A loose page fluttered out. Mark's ambitious. Watch him close. Ambition unchecked is poison. Too late then, just in time now. I wept for the man I'd lost twice. Rage crystallizing into resolve. The climax brewed, the birth.
2 weeks out.
Mark's party invite had arrived via email hack. Black tie at the Drake. Unmissable. He'd go. I'd ensure it cost him. As thunder rolled again, I plotted the twist. Not just exposure, but a reckoning. I'd crash his gala. Dossier in hand, SEC in tow. Let him lose his mind in front of the elite. But deep down, the bike hitch whispered, tragedy for all if Lily broke. Rebirth's gift was clarity, its curse. The blood on your hands. October's chill bit deep. The wind off Lake Michigan whipping scarves into flags as Lily's due date circled like a vulture. Her condo felt like a bunker now, stocked with go-bags. Essential oils, a birthing playlist of Fleetwood Mac that Mark pretended to love. He was fraying at the edges, snappish at dinners. Eyes bloodshot from all-nighters, crunching numbers. I'd ramped the pressure, anonymous letters to his board. Hinting at audits, a burner call to the assistant. Spilling just enough to make her bolt. She quit Friday. Tearful resignation citing personal reasons. Mark's empire teetered. And he knew the architect. We gathered for a family dinner at my bungalow. Roast chicken. Tom's recipe. The oven's warmth a lie against the frost outside. Lily, enormous and radiant, chattered about Doulis. Mark picked at his peas, avoiding my gaze. Post-meal, as she napped on the couch, he cornered me in the den. This ends now. Iris. Whatever game you're playing, stop. For her. I poured brandy, handing him a snifter he ignored. Game? This is chess.
Mark.
You've been sacrificing pawns since you sank Tom's boat. His eyes widened, confirmation. You can't prove. Proof's a phone call away. I tapped my cell. Elaine's contact glowing. Embezzlement. Manslaughter. The Cayman's extradite. You know. He deflated. The schemer unmasked. Shoulders slumping like a punctured balloon. I did it for us. The life Lily deserved. Tom was holding back the firm. Old school. Murder for margins. Disgust curled my lip. Controversial revelation. Part of me pitted him. The boy from Gary Trailer Park's clawing for silk sheets. But pity was a luxury. Justice. A necessity.
Confess.
To her. To the cops. Walk away with dignity. Or I'll drag you. He laughed. Bitter. Dignity? You'd ruin us all. The baby needs a father. Not a felon. Stalemate. He stormed out, leaving the brandy untouched. The door slamming like a guillotine. Lily stirred. Oblivious. Everything okay? I nodded, tucking a blanket around her. Just ghosts.
Kiddo.
That night. Sleep evaded. Memories looped. The ore lights. His masked face. The drip of betrayal in my veins. Rebirth sharpened the edges. Every second a chance to rewrite. The next week. Contraction started for real. Midnight text from Lily. Mom? It's time. Heart in throat. I threw on clothes. Tires spinning gravel to their door. Mark was there. Surprisingly white-faced. Fumbling keys. Hospital.
Now.
We piled in. His Audi slicing through pre-dawn streets. Lily's moans the soundtrack to our fragile truce. The drive was eternity, her gripping my hand. Mark white-knuckling the wheel. Radio static crackling weather warnings. Breathe. Sweetheart, I coached. Flashbacks flickering, my own labor with her. Tom timing contractions with a stopwatch. Laughing through the pain. Arriving at Northwestern Memorial, the ER swallowed us. Wheelchairs. Monitors beeping like erratic heartbeats. Lily's water broke in Tria. A gush that soaked the gurney. Mark bolted for ice chips. Returning with wide eyes. Labor stretched, 8 hours of coached pushes. Lily's screams echoing corridors. I held her hand, whispering Vietnamese lullabies Grandma taught me.
Ngủ ngon.
Con yêu. Mark paced. Phone silenced for once. At noon, the doc called it C-section. Baby's breech. Echoes of my end. Panic surged. But I shoved it down. I'm staying, I told the nurse. Suiting up in scrubs. Mask hiding my resolve. The OR was icebox sterile. Lights blinding as they prepped Lily. Mark hovered at the curtain. But I caught his glance, nervous. Plotting? No time. The anesthesiologist, legit this time, numbs her. I stand vigil. Counting breaths. Then. A cry, sharp, furious. It's a boy, the doc announces. Elias slick and squalling. Handed to Lily's trembling arms. Mark cuts the cord. Tears streaming. The moment pure. Untainted. In recovery. As Lily nursed. Exhaustion painting her beautiful. I stepped out for air. The hospital atrium buzzed. Families toasting newborns with vending machine coffee. My phone lit. Rocco. Party's on. Drake Hotel. 8 p.m. He's confirmed. The invite. The gala, his escape hatch. Rage reignited. While they bonded, I'd end it. I Ubered home. Showered off the antiseptic. Donned black sheath and pearls, war armor. Elaine met me curbside. Briefcase in hand. Warrants. Affidavits. The works. SEC's greenlit. We moved tonight. The drive to the Drake was silent storm. Michigan Avenue a blur of taillights. Valet took the car. We ascended to the ballroom. Chandeliers dripping light on tuxes and gowns. The elite air thick with cigar smoke and schmooze. Mark held court near the bar. Champagne flute raised. Toasting future ventures. His eyes found mine across the crowd, shock. Then terror. I approached. Elaine flanking. Voice cutting the din. Ladies and gentlemen. A word on Harrington Investments. Gasps rippled. Phones emerged. I laid it bare. Slides projected from my tablet, ledgers. Emails. The yacht invoice stamped with his alias.
Fraud. Theft.
And murder. Chaos erupted, shouts. Security converging. Mark lunged. Face purple. You lying. But cuffs clicked. SEC agents materializing like summoned demons. Mark Harrington. You're under arrest. He thrashed. Screaming. Iris.
You bitch.
Lily, the baby. Losing his mind. As promised. The golden boy reduced to a howling wreck. I watched them drag him out. Rain lashing the windows. The party fracturing into whispers. Victory.
Hollow.
Controversial to the bone, exposing him mid-gala. Headlines tomorrow branding my family spectacle. But the secret died with his lies. Tom's ghost avenged. Back at the hospital. Dawn breaking gray. Lily slept with Elias nestled. I sat vigil. The weight of it crashing. Rebirth's climax. Revenge served cold. But the twist? As nurses bustled. My phone buzzed, anonymous text. You think it's over? Check the nursery cam. Heart seizing. I bolted down halls. Bursting into the room. Empty bassinet.
No.
A nurse smiled. Family pickup. Your son-in-law signed out the boy 10 minutes ago. Mark, free on bail?
No.
Impossible. Panic clawed. Alarms wailed in my skull. He'd planned a contingency. The schemer to the end. Sirens wailed in my ears. But it was the echo of Mark's parting scream. Lily, the baby, that propelled me through the hospital corridors. Heels clicking frantic on linoleum. Nursery cam? He'd hacked it. The bastard. Some contingency in his web of deceit. Nurses scattered as I barked demands. Where's my grandson? Elias Gwyn Harrington now. The charge nurse. A no-nonsense black woman with a badge reading Ramirez. Tapped her computer. Brow furrowing. Discharged? That's not, wait. Signatures here. Mark Harrington. 5:47 a.m. Impossible. He's in custody. My voice cracked. The ore memory surging, betrayals blade twisting anew. Ramirez radioed security, monitors flickered with footage, a figure in scrubs. Face obscured. Bundling the infant in a blanket, slipping out a side exit. Not Mark, his build. But wait. The limp from that old lacrosse injury.
No.
A decoy. The schemer's final play. Fake the arrest. Vanish with the air to leverage the fortune. Panic morphed to ice, rebirth's clarity sharpening. Lock it down. Amber alert.
Now.
As cops swarmed, I called Elaine. Voice steel. He's got the baby. Trace his assets, planes, burners, everything. Lily stirred in recovery. Groggy from meds. Her question a gut punch. Mom? Where's Elias? I lied smooth. Bathroom break.
Hon.
Rest. But inside, the bike hitch unfolded. My revenge. The catalyst for this nightmare. Hours blurred. FBI briefings in a sterile conference room. Coffee bitter as regret. Mark's empire crumbled under raids. Offices tossed. Servers seized, but he was smoke. A ghost mocking my own return. Rocco's network lit up. Sightings at O'Hare. A private jet fueled for Nassau. I demanded the manifest. The feds dragging heels on protocol. Controversial urge. Hijack the plane myself. But no, I channeled it. Leaking to CNN from a burner. Hedge fund heir kidnaps newborn amid fraud bust. Headlines exploded. Public outcry fueling the manhunt. Lily shattered when told. Sobs racking her post-op frame. He wouldn't, Mom. He loves us. Denial. My old foe. I held her, whispering truths in fragments. The affair. The debts. Tom's death. He used you, sweetheart. But we'll get Elias back. Her eyes hardened, grief forging resolve, a mirror of my own. Mother-daughter army. Reborn in fire. By noon, breakthroughs, jet grounded. Mechanical issue, my anonymous tip to the tower. Controversial sabotage of his escape. Feds stormed a hangar. But empty. Ransom ping my phone. 10 mil wired to Caymans. Or the kid floats like Tom. Mark's voice. Distorted, but unmistakable. I laughed. Cold bluff called. You sync with him, I texted back. CCing the FBI. The chase spans states, leads to motels in Indiana. A safe house in Milwaukee. I rode shotgun in unmarked cars, defying civilian barriers. My lawyers cloud a battering ram. Sleepless. Fueled by adrenaline and diner pie. Memories looped, my death. Lily's birth. Tom's laugh on that damned yacht. Rebirth wasn't linear. It was a vengeance vortex. Pulling all into its maw. Climax crested in a Gary warehouse. Mark's hometown irony. Rust Belt relic under sodium lights. Rain sheeting like judgment. Swap breached. Flashbangs popping, I tailed. Pulse thundering. Shouts echoed. FBI. Hands up. Mark emerged. Wild-eyed. Elias bundled against his chest like a shield. Stay back. She's mine. The money's mine. Elias. Lily's voice. Patched in via speaker. Her plea from the hospital bed. Broadcast to break him. He faltered. Tears streaking grime. I did it for her. For us. Lies crumbling. Snipers locked. Negotiator coaxed. But I stepped forward. Unscripted. Controversial to the core, exposing myself as the wild card.
Mark.
Remember the your grin through the mask? I saw you. Felt the spike in my vein. His face blanched. Impossible. You're dead. I killed you. Turns out. Grudges resurrect. The distraction worked. He shifted. Elias fussing. A shot cracked, non-lethal. Beanbag to the chest. He crumpled. Baby tumbling safe into agent's arms. Cuffs clicked final. Medics swarmed. Elias reunited with Lily that night. Her arms a haven. My vigil complete. Mark confessed in holding, all of it, the boat's sabotage for control, the embezzlement for highs, the mercy kill on me to silence the unraveling. No trial needed, plea deal for life. No parole. The fortune reclaimed, firm salvaged under my steady hand. But the twist lingered. By Kitch's shadow, Lily's eyes. Forever scarred. Trust fractured. Was it worth it? Mom? The pain. We sat in her nursery. Elias cooing in the rocker. October moon silvering the blues. I stroked her hair. Voice raw. Every scar's a story. Yours makes you stronger. Happy ending? Not tidy. Revenge's cost was the innocence lost. But in the quiet, with my grandchild's breath sinking ours, rebirth felt whole. I died own Wong once, lived fierce the second. Chicago hummed outside, indifferent, but I'd bent its chaos to justice. Months later, spring thawed the lake. Lily remarried, a quiet prof from her old department, steady as Tom. I watched from the pews, silver in my hair catching light. No regrets. Mark rotted in Supermax. Mind lost to isolation's howl. And me, Iris and Gwen. Widow.
Grandma.
Avenger, ghost no more. But legend in whispers. Second chances weren't gifts, they were gauntlets. I'd throw mine down.
And won.